guest podcast.
I am joined by two Italians, a country that is no longer the worst one in Europe.
I'm not so
Politically?
sure about that.
No.
I'm not so sure about that.
Have you seen what's happened in the UK?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
fun though.
Yes, fun in a sort of.
Well,
I'm going to kill
in a
myself
tragic, in a tragic way. Fun in
Yeah.
a tragic way.
there. So, the two Italians, the Super Mario brothers are here. None of them voiced by Chris Pratt.
No.
And we're going to be talking about stuff. Just stuff. I think, who likes roast potatoes instead of mashed potatoes? Which is the best vegetable? Probably some video game stuff as well.
Yeah.
And we might as well carry on from where we ended in the last one, talking about Bayonetta 3, Helena Taylor, and it's become a he said, she said sort of shit now. Whereas before she claimed that they only offered a $4,000. Now they're not claiming anything. Jason Schreier's he made a few tweets because I'm not subscribing to Bloomberg to read his stuff as interesting as it can be, and he's claiming that she was offered 3,000 to 4,000 per session, and between 4 to 5 sessions, which, well, it's more than she was claiming. So yeah. The problem is we don't know what the truth is, and if Platinum wanted to come out and tell the truth, then that would be quite a bit easier. I find it. It's bullshit.
I mean, in theory, that's where Schreier got this information from Platinum, probably.
Yeah.
And I think others have kind of corroborated it as well. I think Stephen Totilo from Axios, and also maybe someone from VGC. And so I'm kind of inclined to believe them, honestly, but like you said,
I suppose the difficulty is, though, when they're all unnamed sources, if everybody goes to the same two people, and the same two people say the same thing to everybody, this is the problem with the bullshit. I'm still more inclined to believe her, simply because she's at least put her name to something. I mean, she's wrecked her career regardless, so...
Yeah, but it just feels so weird. I mean, Kamiya, after the shitstorm, Kamiya removed himself from Twitter and then came back and acts as if nothing happened. At this point, I'm probably it's some way in between these two things that we've heard.
Yeah.
And the most recurring thing is that she was asking for royalties on things.
Yeah, well,
that's probably the thing.
They're saying she wanted the 6-figure sum and the residuals, so that would be a lot. And
even I think that's
and,
too much of an ask.
I think we said that last week. I'm not sure how much Bayonetta sells. If it was this matching hit, Sega wouldn't have given it to Nintendo, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if it was releasing on all consoles and PC, maybe it would make more sales and maybe allow for a higher budget. But it's not. So it's a Switch exclusive.
It's funny that there's this controversy around a game that doesn't sell really that much. I mean, it sells well enough, but it's not. One of the best-selling Switch games.
Yeah.
So it's really weird.
Yeah, and basically, the idea is that when she asked for much more, at that point, as I had assumed, they were like, okay, we're going to switch to Jennifer Hale. But apparently, they also asked her, if she came back just for a cameo, and perhaps that's where she claims, they offered her just 4K, but it was just a cameo, not full length voice acting for the entire game. So, and then she turned down that as well. So, I guess that fits because in Bayonetta 3, as Francesco knows, there's supposed to be multiple Bayonettas, right? Something.
Yeah.
So she could have
multiverse
been.
stuff.
So she could have been one of them, while
Yeah,
others.
there was a theory before everything was known that it was something like what Kojima did, those misdirections that Kojima did for Metal Gear Solid. That the recast was because that Bayonetta we saw, the main Bayonetta we saw, is another one, and it actually was, and in the end it actually was the case, but the recast was for another reason entirely. Because the Japanese actress is still the same. That's why I never believed it. The recast was just for that, because the Japanese actress is the same one that did the character since the first game.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, the full game release is coming next week, I think. So
I mean, it's not like I really care. I wasn't going to play it anyway, so.
yeah, at least people will be able to judge the performance of Jennifer Hale, and perhaps.
Oh, she'll be fine. She's a good voice
Well,
actor.
yeah, it's Jennifer Hale. I mean, she's been doing this for a long, long time.
Yeah, she's a good voice actor. She'll be fine. I just think, just there's too much bullshit goes on, and whichever the story is, it sounds like it's somewhere in the middle of both of them. Like, I'm still more inclined to believe her, as I've said, simply because the games industry is bullshit. So it's easier to just believe that more bullshit is happening in the bullshit industry. It's like, if someone came up to me and said a cake shop is selling a cake, I'd be like, yeah, that's believable. Yeah, so, yeah. Hopefully people enjoy the game. That I still want that no matter who makes the game. I'd rather the game be good, and so people aren't wasting their money. But I suppose that was quick and easy. Very quick and easy. So, let's talk about even more industry bullshit, but from a completely different side of things. This is just a company that is bullshit. It's called Konami. Yay.
Well, I mean, this time around they didn't. They did something quite positive, right? They relaunched.
Yeah. well, if the remake, maybe they could.
What is it?
Well, we know that Silent Hill. We knew the Silent Hill 2 remake was coming for donkey's years. It's been one of the worst kept secrets in video games recently. Like, I'm fairly sure I'm fairly sure we knew Bloober Team was making the Silent Hill 2 remake before Bloober Team knew they were making it. Somehow. Yeah. I love Silent Hill 2, so by law of fuck knows what, I've got to play it. I've been a massive Silent Hill fan for such a long time, so watching the downward spiral from, the highs of 1 and 2 down to, Downpour and
everything else.
And the only one I haven't played is the Pachinko one, so
it's probably better than the.
I've got to play it, and I suppose it's just I think they've gone too far. Yeah, I would say that if anything, they've probably gone a little too far by announcing what feels like 5 million Silent Hill games. What is it with companies announcing?
It's just 2 games they announced.
Nah,
everything else is just project, blah blah blah, blah, and then there's the movie. And by the movie, we already knew about that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
because
That
the
was,
director was talking openly about it, so we already know that.
well, I
Well,
don't. Go on.
to be fair, it's not. There is Silent Hill 2 remake. There is Silent Hill F,
Yeah.
which is the new game set
Yeah.
in the 90s
And
Japan.
Townfall.
And the thing is, I've been reading that it's being made by the developers of Resident Evil Resistance and Reverse, which are that is very promising, right? Yeah. So, but there is also Silent Hill Townfall from Annapurna, which could be interesting, although a bit different probably from the usual Silent Hill games.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm going to play every single one of them. Again, by law, I've got to because I love. It's no secret how much I'm a big horror fan. Games, films, whatever. Horror's like I like things to try to scare me, and not many things succeed. But yeah, I knew there was more than two they announced. That's what I mean. They've got like Silent Hill 2 remake, Silent Hill Townfall, Silent Hill mobile phone weird thing. So
there is also an interactive series,
yeah,
which
and I suppose that's sort of gamey.
Yeah,
It's called an adventure game. That's what an interactive series is.
I mean, supposedly the audience will have a saying in how that story goes on. That's the idea.
Yeah.
They already made it with the Walking Dead, I think, and but while I said that Silent Hill F is kind of iffy in that the developer is kind of unproven.
Yeah.
On the other hand, the Townfall has a solid developer behind, the developer of Observation and Stories Untold, which are two pretty good games. So
yeah, I've got no issue with it being an unproven developer. I've got no issue with that simply because a developer's got to be given the chance to prove themselves, and it's not like they're working on a mainstream Silent Hill 5. They're working on Silent Hill insert random letter here. But my question is, where is Silent Hill A, B, C, D, and E?
Don't give them strange ideas.
I think the F1 will be the closest thing to a new installment. I think among all of these projects. Anyway.
Yeah.
I can see them canning the series again if they don't do well, because it's Konami.
See, I just find, and something's weird is happening at Konami. There's something in the water there, and sadly not cyanide. I mean, I claimed as an off thing that they're going to do a new Suikoden. I was right.
Well, they're not doing a new one. They're remastering the first.
You know what I mean. But yeah, you know what I mean. It's still a Suikoden release.
Yeah, but I don't think they're going to follow. And I don't think anyone will give them much. No one is going to trust them if they make a new one without Murayama. No one is going to. Because we have seen what they are capable of with Suikoden 4. It was a horrible game. Yeah, it's like if they come back with Metal Gear Solid, which they probably will at this point.
Oh, yeah,
what
they
they're doing
will.
with Silent Hill.
Oh,
and Metal Gear without Kojima. Good luck with that.
Oh,
even if Kojima does his stupid things. I mean, but it's just like it's the feeling you have that is not there. So and let's not forget Metal Gear Survive.
I mean,
let's not forget that.
I mean, when they announced Metal Gear Survive 2. I'm just wondering what bandwagon they're going to jump on next when it comes to that. So they've done the survival thing. What's the new bandwagon?
I guess
Battle Royale.
No, that's already.
Yeah, that's
kind of. The latest one is Extraction Shooter. So kind of like
No.
I mean, even now that I've mentioned it, we can also
Metal Gear Farming
mention.
Simulator.
Apparently,
That would be fun.
Bungie is reviving Marathon. I'm not sure if you remember Marathon. It's a very old strategy game series, so Chris should remember it maybe. And apparently they are reviving it as an extraction shooter. So basically,
Why?
dropping because they make money. That's why. So
Have video game companies not learned anything? You can't. It's so rare for something that was to revive something as a completely different genre and it be successful. It's a come on, XCOM Bureau Declassified.
Well, yeah.
Huh?
What a great idea.
Yeah,
I mean,
and then the proper XCOM Rebirth, Reborn, reimagining, whatever. That sold gangbusters, and enough for it to make So you're looking like, oh, let's bring the XCOM brand back. Let's make a third-person shooter. Oh, it's dead. Let's make another proper XCOM. Oh shit, it sold billions. Not literally billions, but you get what I mean.
yeah, not quite billion. I mean, if the shooter was a great shooter, it would have sold more than than a strategy game. That's the point. I mean, from a business perspective. So
Yeah, well,
I think
business
that
perspective is for assholes.
the real thing here is that you have to give something. I mean, any project, you have to give it to a competent developer in that genre. If they had a kick-ass shooter development team, I mean, there wouldn't be nothing wrong with that, I think. So
There's always something wrong with it. There should be more strategy games and less shooter games.
okay,
People should buy them, but they don't. So
I buy them. Well,
yeah,
no, I
yeah,
tend to
but
get given them and review
you're not
them.
you're not everyone.
and
I'm
also
more
he
important than
doesn't buy
everybody.
them.
You need to buy. You need to buy those games in the same amount that other people should buy them.
Yeah, so buy
Buy
for 5 million copies.
thousands of copies. Make thousands of Steam accounts and buy those games multiple times. Or maybe you can just gift them
How much
to other
money do you
people.
think I
To other
have?
people. To other people. Interact with others.
Don't swear at me. Don't
Now
swear.
you've done it. He's going
Get
to rant.
out.
Oh no! Oh no!
Get out. Interact with people.
What are others?
But it's for.
Have you seen what happens when other people get involved? They elect Liz Truss. That's what happens when other people are allowed to do anything. They elect the Conservative Party. They elect Liz Truss. Oh my God, other people should be shot.
Well, I've read. Well, not to derail, but I've read that someone wants to come back.
Yeah.
I don't know how true that is. A certain someone with that beautiful hair.
No, he's already campaigning. The flop-headed nonce.
Yeah, I was talking about him.
He reminds me a bit of Chris, at least with his hair. The hair.
Yeah, but I actually do I'm not here. I'm not dressed up for politics and to run the country. I'm running a podcast, not the UK. This is not. It's not the same thing.
Well, maybe for Boris it is the same thing. Seeing how he's all, all show, I'd say.
I'm quite offended by that. Now you've got to give me whatever codes I want, just for offending me by linking me to that flop-headed sucking sex pest.
Okay, sure.
So anyway,
yeah.
let's have a
since we
look
are,
at. Let's have a look at.
yeah,
Well, we just got Microsoft stuff to talk about now. So, I mean, they're owned by Microsoft. Yeah, something I've been wanting. To be fair, something I did say when they bought ZeniMax and then they already owned Obsidian. I think it will happen. I think Obsidian will make a new Fallout game.
yeah,
And for me, they should do. And Obsidian want to make one, and it just makes perfect sense because Fallout New Vegas was great.
yeah, it was.
Yeah.
The thing is, they are already pretty busy as they are,
No, they're
because
not.
they are doing
No.
Avowed, they are doing the Outer Worlds 2. They are not big by any means. I don't know how many years it will be before they can actually start making a new Fallout project. It will probably be around the
Next
same
week.
time as Bethesda. So
Nah, next week. That's when they're going to make it.
They already have it done. It's ready. It's ready to go. Ready to ship.
Yeah, they're going to make it next week.
uh,
I would imagine Outer Worlds 2 probably be here. Maybe not next year, the year after at the latest.
I think, well, in theory, Avowed should be the closest one. I mean, even if it got rebooted a couple of years ago, but
Yeah, true.
the Outer Worlds 2 was just announced like a year ago.
Yeah, they announced it, but the advantage of any sort of sequel, they're not going to have to. Well, they've already got quite a lot there. They're same as anything. They're not going to need to rebuild everything from the ground up. Well, they shouldn't need to anyway.
I mean, it is true that Obsidian works very quickly, but they're still pretty small. I don't know.
Ah, yeah.
I mean,
Though they did ramp
yeah,
up when Microsoft bought them, didn't they?
yeah, a bit, but they are still like I think 300 or 400 people, but they have like 3 projects, so kind of 150, 180 per project. So
Yeah,
it's
I
not very
get the
big.
feeling we'll see probably, like you say, maybe Avowed from them next year. You would think so. They're gonna have to release a game next year because it was only a small team working on Grounded, and the Outer Worlds came out 3 years ago, and Pentiment wouldn't have taken.
Yeah, that was like
Yeah,
10
small games.
people.
That's what I mean. So
Um,
Grounded and Pentiment, they're not the whole, full 200 people of the studio working on them too. I wouldn't have thought. And with the Outer Worlds having been released in 2019, it's
yeah,
I
I
have to
mean,
imagine they've got a game coming out next year.
well, yeah, I mean, Avowed was originally rumored to be coming this year, so that's before the change with the game director and everything. So I do think it might be released maybe late next year if Bethesda can manage to release Starfield in the first half. Then Avowed could be the big game in the latter half
Yeah,
of the year.
I do have to think that, because they tend to be reasonably quick at, they tend to release quite a few games a few games in close succession, then they have a big break. So it's like, they after New Vegas and Dungeon Siege 3, which, well, Alpha Protocol be the same year as New Vegas as well. So they released 3 games in the space of 1 year. Then they had a 3-year gap. And then you had South Park, Pillars of Eternity, Skyforge. Oof.
Yeah, I think When you make a comparison with Sony, I think they are like Microsoft's Insomniac in that they do tend to produce many games and high quality ones too.
And have a break as well. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so
I
we'll
would
have to see.
imagine. Yeah, I would imagine because they've had a bit of a break now. We're going to see a new release next year and probably the year after that. And then we may
Yeah,
have a few years break, and then it will be Fallout New Vegas 2 or something along those lines.
New,
Oh, they
new
could
something.
make Fallout London, which would just be like a
I
documentary.
mean,
Someone else is already doing that.
I
It's
know, but I
yeah,
want a
it's a mod,
legitimate
yeah.
one.
he
Anyway,
wants the official one.
I mean,
Yeah.
but then again, it's just a documentary. All you need to do is go to London, and it's Fallout London.
Okay.
Oh,
Well, last time I've been to London, it didn't look very post-apocalyptic, to be honest. It's been 4 years ago, but it
It's-
didn't
it's
look.
on-
we've had more of the Tories since then.
It was an
Oh, dear.
illusion, kind of
Yeah,
like
it was a
Matrix.
simulation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Radio.
Uh,
Go on then. Carry on more about Microsoft and how people don't like the Xbox Series S.
well, it's not like people actually; it's developers, because I mean there was kind of the Gotham Knights controversy, where basically the developers announced that the game was locked to 30 FPS, even on. I mean, it's just on next gen, so it doesn't even have old generation consoles. Maybe it did originally, but they canceled them. So that already kind of sparked some outrage, but the huge outburst happened when one of the developers from Rocksteady, which is kind of a sister studio for WB Games Montreal, since they both worked on the Batman Arkham series. So this developer basically said, people don't understand how difficult it is to launch a game with the Series S, which is not much more powerful than the Xbox One generation. And then he basically went out and flat out called it a potato console that basically hamstrung an entire generation of games. And of course, after all this, he had to he deleted the tweets, he deleted the account, and Camille, and but then actually, it turned out that many developers had asked Microsoft to drop the launch requirement because, when Microsoft announced the Xbox Series S and X, they made it clear to developers that they could not make a Series X exclusive. So all of the games had to be released on both the S and the X. So of course that means you have to cater to the lowest specification, which is the S. So you are limited to that. And but to be honest, it was kind of a big debate earlier in the generation, even leading up to the launch. And actually, several competent developers had expressed doubts. I mean, even id Software and Metro, the developers from 4A Games, the former actually was worried about the memory, while the latter was more worried about the GPU. But it was kind of little veiled secret. I mean, everyone kind of knew that the Series S would be kind of a problem for a certain game, especially. And I guess it's now, re-emerging. And perhaps now that more of the games are going to be slowly dropping the old generations back, then it will be more clear that the Series S is kind of holding the new generation back. Of course, on the other hand, it also increased the market since it is cheaper, so it is more accessible, and it's actually selling very well in Asia and in Japan compared to previous generations, because it's very small, which is something that especially in Japan people love. And so in that sense, it was a good move by Microsoft, I guess. But at the same time, it is kind of a problem for developers.
Yeah.
As they try to always improve the technical features of their games, and that's always, especially something that AAA developers are concerned with. I don't know. I guess we'll see, but it is true that the Series S is much less powerful. I mean, even if it is targeting a lower resolution, it's not just that you can drop the resolution and be done with it. Because, for example, while the Series X has unified memory, the Series S has split memory, between the GPU and the central memory. So that's another kind of issues to deal with. I guess we'll see. And, especially with games like, for example, Starfield or Redfall, these games will be dropping the Xbox One, generation for the first time. Even the new Forza Motorsport. So we'll have to see if it is the Series S now that is hindering these new games.
I think it's mostly the third-party developers that are having issues with this.
Yeah.
Because I think the Microsoft teams, they already know that there's no way they can do without that, so they just have to go with it. And I don't think Microsoft is going to drop. He's not going to let people, developers, leave the Series S behind, because, like you said, it's been a success on the market. It's been a success, so developers will have to, to get used to this. And besides, you said, like you said, there are. It's often not a matter of dropping the resolution, but it's also true that PC games have to be. I can't say optimized, but they have to run on a wide range of hardware.
Yeah, that's true.
So I don't know if having to deal with two types of hardware is that much more complicated than having to deal with thousands of potential system configurations.
Oh, that's
I don't know.
true. And I think the point is, if the Series X was the only console, games would be better for it. And that's kind of a given.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't have to limit yourself to what the Series S can do. Basically.
No, but there you go. Who knows? I'll let you two just have this topic. I just don't think. I just agree with you. I don't think they're going to drop it. I don't think they'll let people drop it. Mainly because people have bought the console.
Yeah. I mean, it would be stupid at this point. So it's just.
It's moot. It's moot. They should have seen this coming, though. That's what I think. They should have just seen it coming, because you can't essentially make a potato and then say it's fine. Everybody developed for the potato.
Yeah, I guess it is a bit odd when you consider that they also support cloud.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they could have gone
Well,
all
no.
in.
Apparently, they don't anymore. They say the cloud's just not going to get adopted.
Yeah,
that's their defense anyway.
That's another thing. Yeah. So basically, they've been trying to downplay the importance of cloud gaming while answering the CMA's concerns.
Yeah.
And,
Who didn't see through that? Who didn't see that coming? No. The cloud's not important. No. You know, Chris was right all along. Nobody's going to ever do the cloud.
Well, I guess we'll have to see if
Yeah. Wait and see.
now
We'll tackle that one next time.
I think it seems though that the CMA is now requesting public opinion as well. I think I've
They are
read some.
indeed. They are indeed.
Mm.
I've seen the link, and I will probably write something in. I haven't decided
I don't.
yet. I'm always fair and balanced, so we will see.
I don't know how much the public opinion can be,
Yeah.
beneficial. So
Yeah, how does this work exactly?
Essentially, you just email in your opinion.
it's kind of like
I do tend to worry.
Yeah,
I do worry for the
fanboys.
civil servants, you know, the people who work for the government going through all that and filtering through it all, because you're going to have people going, oh my god, Microsoft are bad people.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Sony
yeah.
rules, Microsoft rules.
yeah. Imagine all the fanboys writing.
Exactly. I do
That
not
doesn't sound
envy
like a good idea.
I
That
don't
doesn't sound
envy.
like a good idea.
Thing is, it's not the politicians who go through that. It's people like me. Poor
Yeah.
bastards.
It's the clerks, right?
Yeah.
So,
Well, yeah, near enough as damn it. So, yeah. I wish I worked at that department. I could rig it. Just rig it. Just say, oh my god, the public opinion's massively overwhelming against this deal. They're just so dreadfully worried about cloud gaming, and you know everybody's going to take it up. Microsoft have lied to you. Everybody's just planning it, ready now. You know everybody's going to pick it up next month. I wonder if they'd believe it. Well, they're politicians. They don't know what they're doing anyway.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, what's everybody playing? Oh, you can't tell us, Francesco.
You know, I think I can say that I am playing that, but I can't say anything more than that.
Well, okay, you're playing Star Ocean. Oh, and
Yeah,
if
you
you
said
can't,
that for
if
me.
you can't say it, then you didn't break
I
embargo.
was checking the guidelines.
Oh,
now.
gives a shit. They're not going to listen to this anyway.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you know, they say you can say on social media. So does a
Well, yeah,
podcast
that counts. That counts. You
count
can
as
say.
social media? So yeah, we're in the clear. I'm playing Star Ocean: The Divine Force, and I can't say anything more than that.
You can't even tell us if it's a JRPG.
I can tell you when it releases.
Is it a JRPG?
I think so.
you can talk about
Is it a video game?
It's a video game, yeah. Then they had a budget. Well, I can tell that because the demo is out anyway.
Fair enough.
So yeah, I can tell that. Yeah, I played something else. Yeah, what was it called? Yeah, it was called Batora Lost Heaven. It's an indie. Well, they called it role-playing game, but it's more of a hack and slash game with role-playing game elements. You know, and there's something that would interest you. There's a post-apocalyptic London in there. Yeah, you spend like 5 minutes in it, but yeah, it's there.
Oh, so they've been to Britain then.
Yeah, that's the the game starts when you go in the underground,
Yeah.
and there's that iconic sign at the end, the London Underground, that kind of stuff.
Fair enough.
It's this game could have been well, the review's already out, so but this game could have been so much better because it has a lot of choices. Like there's pretty much anything can be completed by either doing one thing or the other. There's like boss battles that you can choose between fighting the boss straight away or completing the puzzles before fighting the boss. But it's choices are the only thing that makes it a role-playing game because it doesn't even have side content, and combat is not that fun. It's like a combination of top-down shooters and action RPGs. It kind of works, but it's not that. I have to be honest, it's not that exciting. The world was interesting because you have this this girl who gets the power of the sun and the moon and has to travel all over the galaxy so that she can revert the Earth before the cataclysm that destroyed it, or destroyed most of it anyway. But it's just that you're jumping from one planet to the other very quickly, and you have these morally gray choices that impact the characters you've met. The problem is that you don't give much of a shit about these characters because you spend too little time with them. So yeah, I think it needed a bigger scope, I think. Because like this is just, it's fun for a few. Well, it's short. It's like 13 hours. So it's not even that long. But it would have benefited from being a little bigger. Spending more time with the characters. And, it's acceptable. But it's not going to... It's not going to be the next indie darling of the people, so to say.
You never know.
No, not really. It's just there are too many issues. I
You
think.
do know then.
Yeah, I know. Too many issues.
Actually, I think I can talk about two games. Well, one game and a bit and change. One is Gotham Knights, which is out now, and I enjoyed it. It's kind of, I made a comparison with the characters themselves. I mean, in the game, you're supposed to be Batman's replacement with Nightwing, Batgirl, and whatever. And it's kind of like none of these are Batman. They are competent, but they are not Batman. And that's kind of the same as the game itself compared to the previous Batman games.
Right.
So it is pretty fun, and I enjoy the additional RPG elements that they've added. And the city is very good. It's the most realistic city. Gotham City we've seen in a game yet, because I'm not sure if you played the previous Batman games, but for some reason they always had an excuse where the civilians were, they were invisible, they were all in the houses, but this time it's they are out and about. If you pass by them, they comment on you. They say, "Oh, it's Nightwing," and then they also say, "Kind of Nightwing, you suck," or maybe Nightwing, you grow. Like they
Nobody ever would say that. Fake game.
Whatever. And on this, at the same time, like I said in the review, the performance is pretty bad, and we kind of guessed it. Even before the release, when we knew of that 30 FPS lock on consoles, but even on PC, actually, if you look at the frame rate, it's pretty high, but the frame times are not good. So basically, there is a lot of stuttering while moving through the city, which is kind of a shame.
You can't blame the game for that. It's all the Xbox Series S's fault.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
this sounds like Batman Arkham Knight all over again. The PC version.
Yeah, well, it's not that bad, fortunately, and so it is playable. It's just that you wish while playing that it was smoother. So
yeah,
we'll see if it improves with updates. And well, I guess that's it. It's the story is also, it's decent, but you can see it coming from a mile away. So it's not nearly the best story we've seen with Batman games. So I guess all in all, it's a fun game, especially if you are into the characters and the setting, but it's not outstanding in any way. So I guess if you look at all the time that passed between this game and their previous game, which is Batman Arkham Origins, and it released in late 2013. So it's been 9 years, and you can't be a little bit, you can't but be a little bit disappointed, Of course, it's not like they were working on this game for all this time. They had 2 cancellations. One was the Suicide Squad game, and another was the Damian Wayne game. But people were certainly hoping for something better. Although, of course, I mean, we always knew that Rocksteady was the premier studio between the two. So I guess we're now all waiting to see what they will do with the Suicide Squad game that's coming out next year. Hopefully, it will be good. And the other game is none other than God of War Ragnarok. And of course, I can only speak to the very first hour because they allowed first impressions to be shared, and so I can speak about it in a limited way. And I guess, as others have already said in their previews, it is still an outstanding game at least so far, I guess. But it does have a bit of familiarity to it. Like it's not really doing much new in terms of, especially I think, the level design. It's a bit too linear for my taste. For example, you just move from from place to place, but you can't really explore that much. Yes, there are many side paths and stuff you can uncover, treasures and loot, but while exploring, you don't really feel that you are you are free to explore this world. It's all kind of funneled, if you get what I'm saying.
Okay.
So I guess maybe that is also due to the PS4 nature of the game, because I mean the developers kind of came out and said this is basically the best game we could make on the PS4, and the PS5 version is just shinier. It's just better with the graphics and frame rate and the controller, 3D audio, whatever. But the game, of course, since it has to run on a PS4, again, you are limited by the lowest spec, and that's kind of.
I'd say that was expected when we saw the first gameplay trailer, that it would have been more of an expansion rather than something completely new.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, they were, in an interview, they kind of openly said it. They said, basically, this is a lot more refined. I mean, even the combat system is expanded. Don't get me wrong; it's still absolutely amazing to play, and because I think the first one was possibly the the best combat system that at the time when it released, and now it's even better. So you have more options, even more options to customize Kratos, for example, and there are new abilities. So it is better, but it is definitely more of the same better, which is, I mean, it is. Like I said, I think the first God of War, I mean the reboot, of course, it was maybe the best PS4 game, or at least one of the best. So it's no bad thing to be doing more of the same of that. So it's still going to be an absolutely fantastic game. I think it's just not going to be, revolutionary in any way. And like Francesco said, that was probably to be expected, but still, I wish, they made it. I can't help but wish they made it a PS5 exclusive and, gave it more room to explore all of these fantastical realms. Which you do, because in this game you can visit all of the realms as they've said, but like I said, it's not the same. I mean, of course, there is the whole open world debate that not every game has to be an open world, right? And I can sort of agree to that. But at the same time, I do wish even games that are not open world, nowadays they are semi-open world, you know? So you get to freely explore a large portion of a map, right? And that's not really possible in God of War most of the time. So you are, very much kind of led to one place to another. Like I said, there are many side paths, but the level design, the environmental design itself is kind of preventing you from that awesomeness, I think, of the true exploration, which we are now accustomed to, in most games. I guess that's the main flaw I see with it so far. But as I said before, other than that, it's shaping up to be as good as the first one. So a great game, absolutely.
Fair enough.
I'm just happy they made Thor that way. Because I think we said it when they showed it the first time, that finally a version of Thor that is, actually what they say in the sagas and not the American Thor of Marvel Comics. So I'm just happy. I'm just happy for that.
Fair. Well, fair enough.
Yeah, I guess you mean the size of him and the weight.
Of course. Yeah, of course. I mean, he drinks like a dwarf. No way he's going to be all like buffed up that way. I don't think people back then knew that the human body could be like that as well. I mean, so yeah, I'm happy that they're being a little more true to the myths. Well, I noticed this one in the first one as well. It's actually a pretty good interpretation of the myths. And seeing Thor that way made me happy that at least someone is doing that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess they took a page out of Game of Thrones in that. If you remember, they used the mountain, and that character, is actually played by.
Yeah, he's in
someone.
Icelandic. Yeah, he's Icelandic.
Yeah, I think he's also kind of the strongest man alive or something. And I think he also has a bit of a belly.
He does not look like that anymore, however. Yeah, he's not. But yeah, back then he was the strongest strong man in the world.
Yeah. So basically, if you have to be the strongest man, you don't.
Yeah, well,
a bit of fat isn't too bad.
Yeah, if you check out the strongest power lifters in the world, they all have a belly, because you can't be that strong.
Yeah.
If you're not that huge, it's just impossible.
Yeah.
So Chris, I guess you can keep drinking and grow your belly and be strong.
Ow. I went to the gym yesterday and my chest hurts.
So, have you played anything, Chris? I think you played Plague Tale, right?
Who?
Plague Tale.
Oh, yeah, Rats Incorporated. I did. It's a great game. I mean, my review's up. It's a great game. The rats have been multiplying. Same as I said. One of the issues I had before is that it keeps sort of resetting itself, and it's gone the Tomb Raider route of just punishing the living shit out of Amicia. It's like watching Hostel. I mean, read the review for that. It's a great game. And other than that, I've been playing, or I've started playing again Mount & Blade, and I have started playing Football Manager 2023.
I had no doubts.
I don't know what you mean. So, I mean, FM 2023, the review for that should be like a week and a half away. So but everybody's got the early access anyway. But yeah, I'll be playing it. I've got to do that. It's ritual.
Is it good?
It's Football Manager, of course it's good.
I mean, they could release a live service game and you'll still be happy.
Multiplayer.
It has got multiplayer, but I never do that. I refuse.
Yeah,
Not having other people ruin my management. So
I mean, it's kind of weird the multiplayer they have. So I mean, it's due to the structure of the game, but basically you have to do seasons together, and it takes a very long time.
Essentially, you just both make your decisions and end turn and see what happens.
That sounds exciting.
It's Football Manager. You've got to be a sort of person to find Football Manager exciting anyway.
Yeah, true.
So yeah, but yeah, no, I've not really got a massive amount to say. I might have more to say next time. Probably not though. And yeah, I think that'll do. Yeah. Right. Well, enjoy everybody, and we will see you next time.
Maybe.
Bye. maybe. Yeah. See if I survive the fall of the United Kingdom. On that note, bye everybody.
For Loud London.